Are we on yet?
I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up. All the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. Show it what you want. Show it what you need. What you need. My niggas run the game. We ain't never leave.
What's up, guys? It's the Last Pick Podcast. I am Matty, your host, coming to you from the loft here in Jacksonville, Florida. Hey, we are the Last Pick Fuck. You know what? Fuck it. We'll keep it. Hey, we're the Last Pick Podcast. We're here to have some fun. Promise not to offend. We'll talk all kinds of sports, and we'll have a fun time with it. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoy it. Hey, thank So I'm on mute. I was on mute. I was talking. Nobody heard me.
Nice.
I'm not good at this thing. So, welcome Vesta into the Last Pick Pod studio. Not much of a studio, but it is a place.
It counts.
It counts. So, yep. First pick sport. It's the first time in the Last Pick Podcast history that we have a guest on here that's not Smitty. So, Smitty's he's gonna be really pissed. By the way.
He'll be fine.
No, he's gonna be pissed. He's not gonna be happy. He's gonna be like, "What the fuck? Why did I not get the invite on the podcast?" Well, you know what? We just podcasted last night. That's probably why.
I'm far more attractive.
That goes without saying. That's true. So anyway, we just figured we'd come at you a little bit. We're having a drink, getting ready to go have some wings and some beer, possibly. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe hand out some Bible tracts.
We'll just sit here. We might just sit here and get drunk all night.
Yeah,
and just podcast like 5 episodes. If we could,
it's just a marathon nightmare.
If we could predict the future, though, like of sports, we're good at that, but we're not.
I have a sneaking suspicion that we'll do that just by being broad everywhere, and we'll say every different thing that comes to our head.
I like to go with definitives and make sure that I hit my points right on the head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somehow I don't believe you.
So yeah, either way, that's true. You've listened before, you know what it's all about.
I'm a fan.
So we're just having fun. We're having a good time, giving us something to do over the summer.
Absolutely. Carried
into football season.
Yep.
I asked Smitty the other day. I go, "Hey, why the hell do we start a podcast in the middle of the summer when there's just like nothing going on?"
Because there's nothing going on.
That's exactly why. And I was like, if we can get through 45 minutes or even an hour or something like that, like when there's nothing going on, I think we'll be all right.
Right.
I think we'll be okay. Like if we can talk for, I'll talk to a fucking tree. But it's not going to matter. I mean, I don't care who it is. You see me at bars. I'm just, hey, by the way, I'm Matt. So, here we are. Anyway, I'll talk to him for 30 minutes and then go on. So, I like to hear myself talk, so I figured this might be a hobby that I would enjoy. And clearly, we're on our 6th episode at this point. So, yeah.
Hey.
Either way, Vesta, great to have you in.
Yeah, absolutely.
We literally have nothing on the production sheet here.
Yeah.
So we're just straight up.
I like it, though.
Just improv. I wanted to hit back on the Chris Sale thing, and I was thinking about it today. We talked about it last night on the podcast. And just basically, I thought he was acting like a child. But I'm like, dude, if you really didn't want to pitch, why didn't you just say, I'm not going to pitch?
Yeah.
You already lost. He lost a game regardless.
I will say this, and it's a non-defense defense of him. I don't know what it's like to be one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Nor do I.
To have an agent blow smoke up my ass and be able to pretty much act like a petulant child and whenever I want.
Dude, yeah.
I have a very sneaking suspicion that if we look back and we go back to remember, I don't remember the name of the guy who ended up retiring because they wanted his kid out of the club.
That was LaRoche. Yeah, that was Adam LaRoche. Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Chris Sale might have been behind that too because he was sick of that shit. And the Sox at the time, the Sox at the time probably were.
I think there's some things going on inside the White Sox organization that I don't think people understand. Just from what the LaRoche thing, which was weird this year, that was weird. Kids go into the clubhouses all the time. Now, in defense of that, I'm still not a real big fan of being able to take your kid to work all the time.
No, it's like what? He was almost a teenager, or he was.
He was like 15 years old, and he was at every single game.
If I'm a dude and I'm playing baseball, the last thing I really want to do is have to worry about saying something fucked up in front of a 15-year-old kid.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to deal with that.
And I get the.
Not every day. I get
exactly.
If you have I think like a lot of major league dudes, like major league teams, they have it on Sundays. Like, hey, you can bring your kid in on Sundays. and do the family thing, and that's fine. And because these guys don't get a whole lot of days off, so and they're always traveling, so I get it.
No, I mean, as a father myself, I understand the concept of wanting to do that.
Holy shit, we also have a father on the podcast.
Yes,
because Smitty and I are definitely not. Smitty probably closer than me at this point, but I guess.
Well, you never know.
I may be a father. I just don't know, actually. I know I'm not paying any money. Nobody ever sent me a letter.
Yeah, well,
that says I have to.
Yeah, you're not getting your wages garnished.
That's correct. Yeah. Well, part of that is I try to avoid paying taxes. So
you may not want to admit that on you.
Well, I don't think anybody's gonna. I don't think the IRS is listening in, but I could be wrong.
You never know.
That's true. You never know.
No, but I guess the funny thing about Chris Sale.
No, I pay my taxes. I just do it late all the time.
Yeah.
I just got them done last month.
Hey, you file an extension. You have until October.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm fine.
But now the thing with Chris Sale is he has always struck me as that kind of almost varsity quarterback kind of ass.
Oh, very much a prima donna.
Yeah, about that kind of stuff, and so. It didn't surprise me that he threw a temper tantrum. I think it's fucked up that the White Sox... I mean, I guess I get it a little bit, and maybe it's not fucked up, but it's hilarious. I was listening to MLB radio when the whole thing went on Saturday, and they were saying that he had the flu. And they were making fun of him because they were like, how does he get the flu within an hour of game time?
Well, I got a notification that just said he was scratched from the lineup for a non-violent clubhouse incident.
Oh,
and I was like, what the hell does that even mean?
Yeah, I know.
My first thought was he got in an argument with one of the players or Robin Ventura or Kenny. Is Kenny Williams still there? He's still there.
He is. He's not. Yeah. So Rick Hahn is their GM.
GM now, director of baseball operations or some shit. Director of baseball operations, whatever.
Yeah, having lived in Chicago and witnessed kind of the firsthand nightmare that is the White Sox, and it as a Cubs fan, it makes me that much more upset about the fact that we've been droughted. The fucking White Sox tripped and fell into a goddamn World Series. I mean, I'm not saying that
2005?
they weren't good, but that is. They are such a poorly run organization. That
was the year that I absolutely, as a Tigers fan, I just absolutely started to hate the White Sox. The bleeding passion.
They were insufferable.
A.J. Pierzynski, he was brutal.
Fuck that guy.
Well, and then you had, who was the lefty pitcher that threw the perfect game that year? Mark Burley, who's throwing 84,
right.
And just striking. Yeah, I mean, good for him.
I think he still pitches for the Blue Jays.
I think he's still pitching for the Blue Jays. Yeah, good for him being able to throw 84 mile an hour and last that long in the league and throw a perfect game nonetheless.
Right.
That just tells me he knows how to pitch. Yeah. Is what that tells me. But
I mean,
they didn't have any overpowering guys. They were just kind of a team. They played together. They played good baseball. Yeah. So I'm not upset with it.
But it's a quintessential Jerry Reinsdorf organization. If you look at the Bulls since Michael Jordan, you can see kind of the way that the White Sox are as well. They'll get good, and even in 2005, they'll be able to figure out how to get it and win it all. But after that, it's just kind of one clusterfuck after another. And that's exactly what's happening in the Bulls organization. It's kind of how it works with the White Sox.
Well, this goes all the way back to Ozzie Guillen. You want to talk about slapdicks and dumpster fires, Ozzie Guillen has been pretty much the leader of that for a long time.
Who goes to the Miami Marlins, says something positive about Fidel Castro in Miami, and then brings in Carlos Zambrano as a good idea.
And you know what the sad thing is I do not consider myself a member of the media, clearly, by doing a podcast for 6 episodes. However, if I were a member of the media, Ozzie Guillen would probably be my favorite guy in the world to interview on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd want to be a Chicago White Sox beat writer.
Yeah.
That's what I'd want to do.
I know that there was always some hilarity that would ensue down there with all of that shit.
Oh, yeah.
I will say this. Dan Levitard wrote a pretty scathing article about Ozzie Guillen after he said that shit, and I think that started to spell the end of his career, because as much as Dan Levitard's show makes fun of sports media, he still holds a pretty big sway in that market.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, he's a Hispanic guy, so
his father's Cuban.
Cuban guy. Talks a lot of baseball and knows his stuff too.
Yes. Oh yeah. It is why I have softened my hate for the Miami Marlins after the 2003 NLCS.
But Levitard goes hard at the Marlins all the time.
I know.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's like he's a Marlins fan and he just hates to admit it. But at the same time, it's fun.
He is, yeah. I feel like he hates to admit that he's a fan of much.
Yeah.
In the same way. Like, I mean,
So,
I get that before LeBron went to the Heat, it was difficult a little bit to be a Heat fan in recent
or
years.
any Miami a football fan, a Miami Dolphins fan, a Marlins fan.
Even a Hurricanes fan lately.
I honestly, I didn't know that they still had a hockey team.
I didn't know they had a hockey team at all. Still, let alone still.
That's
they
their.
have a hockey team?
Didn't they have the Florida Panthers at one point in time?
Oh! I thought you were talking about the University of Miami. Yeah.
No, I thought you were talking about the Florida Panthers.
They're actually good this year too.
Are they? They're in Miami still, right?
Okay. Oh yeah. No,
Okay.
Homestead, but
Or Homestead.
Sunrise.
Okay.
Yeah, they're off the turnpike, I believe. That's
Okay, so somewhere in the middle of somewhere where I don't want to be.
Yeah, they're they're about 30 miles outside of Miami, but yeah.
Gotcha. Anyway, just fill up with some baseball talk, but here's the way we're gonna do this. In hockey. Yeah, I guess you got your hockey fit in. As I say, we don't talk any hockey on this show very rarely, but you got the 30 seconds of hockey we've put on this podcast so far.
Yeah, I'll talk about.
There you go. Yeah. So. The next topic, by the way, here's the way I'm going to do this episode. We're going to sit there. I'm on Twitter. I'm on the Last Pick Pod Twitter. We're going to roll around, and I got a picture of none other than a man who cannot put an entire sentence together, Nate Diaz. He apparently signed the camera lens at Sports Nation today, and then somebody posted it was like keep it 100 or whatever. And for anybody that hasn't heard him talk, like I've talked about him before, and he's a fighter. That's what he is.
Yeah,
he's just this street kid. Like he came from Stockton, California, which apparently is pretty rough. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or very rough, apparently. I'm not really sure. But can't put a sentence together. I'm not convinced he actually knows where he's at most of the time, other than when he's in an octagon.
He's a Floyd Mayweather in intelligence without the ass beatings or the $47 million check.
He's not quite as rich as Floyd Mayweather, which no one is apparently.
No.
Well, except maybe.
That guy's a fucking putz too.
Oh, he's a dipshit. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Anyway, coming up. 3 weeks now? Diaz McGregor?
Like this weekend is UFC 201, which has my boy Robbie Lawler in it.
Yep.
Fighting, I don't remember the guy's name, but he looks like a
UFC
mean
201?
son of a bitch. Yeah. And I'll say this. Anytime Robbie Lawler is on the card, I'm going to order that fucking fight.
Yeah, Robbie Lawler and
so
Woodley.
fun to watch.
Yeah, he's. I'm pulling up the fight card right now. So you got. Okay, so Robert, Tyron Woodley, who's right now the fourth contender.
Yep.
15-3. Knockout percentage is not even close. He's at 40%. Lawler's at 74%.
Yeah.
So that's not good. However, looks like he's a submission guy because Lawler is 4% on submissions. And Woodley's 27.
Yeah.
So it looks like he is.
I know that Woodley likes to throw.
Yeah.
He has beat the shit out of some people. I was a Robbie Lawler fan for a long time, and then that fight against Condit, where it was pretty much just a 5-round war, where you didn't know who was going to win, was absolutely the most entertaining UFC fight I have ever seen in my entire life, and it rekindled my interest and my faith in the sport itself, because there were some dark years after Liddell retired.
So you've watched UFC pretty much since its inception, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't, but I remember seeing clips like when it first started, and it was UFC 45 or somewhere in there, back in the early 2000s. I just remember like turning on the main event and like seeing it on SportsCenter, and it was just like blood was on the entire ring.
Yeah,
like it was covered. Like, so they've now changed the rules to where it's not so brutal.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody gets rocked, they stop the match, and that's gotten in the national television audience as a sport, not a street fight.
Not a street fight. When UFC first came out, they didn't even wear gloves, and you were still allowed to wear shoes.
And they were like breaking people's arms.
Yeah, like it was
crazy.
Gnarly. And then, so at the very beginning, though, they were not under. I don't believe they were under the Nevada Gaming Commission yet.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they did not have the same kind of medical practices as boxing, where they Vaseline your face all up, they will stop you for too much blood. All of that stuff came right around that same amount of time. I mean, I was in college in 2003, and that was when like the first reality show, The Ultimate Fighter.
The Ultimate Fighter, and that was I'm assuming, and I don't know this for sure, but Dana White and the Fertitta brothers bought it in 2001.
Yes, it was
Right,
right after
so
that.
right after that, they started to make changes.
Yes, because they wanted to make it a mainstream sport where they were going to make a shitload.
And I
of
think
money.
they've done a pretty good job.
Yes, and
so
they
far.
just sold. They just sold to some investment firm.
That was
for like
$4 billion.